Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Emerson. Zoom. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, and one of the things that is so valuable to us is honoring the inherent worth and dignity of everyone. So we want you to know that you are welcome here. You're welcome here on Zoom, and you're welcome here in our doors when the time is right to worship with us and be with us. You and all of your identities are welcome here. And this is our time of worship. It's our time that we take to pause from all those storms and things that are going on in our lives that may distract us. This is a time to have some quiet time, not just with ourselves, but in community. So let's take that time this morning. This morning's worship is actually inspired by several things. We're going to continue our exploration of the idea of embracing possibility. That's our theme for the week. And it's inspired by the Jewish high holy days of atonement, Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur actually took place this past week, and it was the culmination of 10 days of awe in the Jewish tradition, a time that begins with Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and ends on this Day of Atonement. It's a time for reflection and humility, forgiveness, and celebration. So we too will explore these themes in our worship today. Taking time as we do in worship is a time to sit back and take a broader view of life's meanings and its opportunities. Its opportunities to balance, right? To balance all that is in our life. So let worship be this time of balance for you. And speaking of balance, as many of us know, we are approaching the time of the fall equinox. During the equinox, it's the time when the sun crosses what's called the celestial equator. It's kind of an imaginary line from the Earth's equator out into space. And the equinox occurs precisely when the sun's center passes through this line of time, and we have approximately the same amount of daylight as darkness. Here in Georgia, that actually comes a little bit later than the 21st of September. I think it was like the 26th, but we're getting close. We're getting close. And many pagan communities celebrate Mabon during this time. It's a time to celebrate the Harvest Festival, and Beth Klein has decorated our altar. I wish you could be here to see it, but maybe you can see it via the camera. Coming down right on there, camera. We have this beautiful idea of harvest. It's a time when many crops are brought in during this change of season. And in addition, it's this time, Mabon is also a time to give thanks and a time to acknowledge this balance that's happening between light and dark. It's a time for humility, and it's a time of awe. So I'm going to open our worship this morning with a little poem from Patty Wingington. And my fearless companion, James, will assist in our reading. Just going to give the AV team one moment. Our balancing scales. Equal hours of light and darkness, we celebrate the balance of Mabon and ask the gods to bless us. For all that is bad, there is also good. For that which is despair, there is hope. For the moments of pain, there are moments of love. And for all that falls, there is a chance to rise again. And may we find balance in our lives as we find balance in our hearts. Thank you for joining us for worship. And please now, as you are able in body and in spirit, join our wonderful hymn ensemble in our opening hymn, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Thank you so much for the beautiful music. Good morning and welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is James Poteet. I'm a member of the worship team and also the point person for Emerson's LGBTQ+ welcoming work. Each Sunday, we light our chalice. Its light symbolizes our faith and reminds us of our commitment to be a beacon of love and hope to all who enter here, whether that be in person or virtually. Today's chalice lighting words come from Dana Falds. Forgive yourself. Now is the only time you have to be whole. Now is the sole moment that exists to live in the light of your true self. Perfection is not a prerequisite for anything but pain. Please, oh please, don't continue to believe in your disbelief. This is the day of your awakening. Our vision here at Emerson is to be a radically inclusive, open-minded, beloved community and a vibrant source of peace, hope, and healing in the world. We know that we cannot achieve these goals alone, and so every month we partner with another organization and encourage our members and friends to support their work, both financially and with action. This month, our partner is a local Haitian community church, the Open Bible Tabernacle Haitian Assembly of Marietta. Part of their ministry is to provide ongoing support to the people of Haiti. Right now, their focus is on southern Haiti, which recently experienced both a 7.2 magnitude earthquake and a hurricane. Many people lost their homes and remain in deep need. Open Bible is providing direct support to the people of southern Haiti in obtaining food, tents, and other necessities. Let us join with the people of Haiti and our local Haitian community to let them know that they are not alone. Any amount makes a difference. The link for online giving will be in the chat throughout the service. Please take a moment to show your support. All donations, unless otherwise specified, will be split equally between Emerson and Open Bible. And now, in the spirit of beloved community, let us greet and welcome each other to worship. If this is your first time with us, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat as we share our congregational affirmation, "We need not think alike to love alike."
Well, I know all of you. I'm going to guess that at least 100% of you are probably sitting down and being kind of still right now. So I'm going to invite you to also welcome your body to worship. Please rise as you are able. What should we do today for our body welcoming? Ed, do you have any ideas? Yeah. We're going to stretch. Okay, Ed says we should stretch. Everybody give a big stretch. Jeffrey, what should we do next? Bring our hands down. Oh, wow. Okay, Jeffrey's back here. If you can't do this, just put your hands here. But if you want to do this, should we all take a deep breath? We're going to all take a deep breath. Say hello, body. Good morning, body. Thank you for joining me. My mind is always with me, but guess what? So is my body. Thank you. Thank you for that body stretch. It's good to welcome the body as well as the mind to worship. And I think right now we are going to be welcoming our children of all ages. And here comes Miss Beth with a wonderful story for us. So please gather the kids around, gather your own inner child around, and let's see what Beth has in store for us today. She has some baskets. Oh my goodness, when Beth has a basket, you know something's going on. Ooh. Okay. I think we're going to do a mic check, Beth. Make sure we got mics on because everybody wants to hear the story. Right, everybody? I am seeing you. I'm looking at my computer.
Here we go.
I can see you.
Oh.
Shake your heads.
I sound like God. Wow. And my trusty assistant, Miss Sarah, is here.
Beth, we might be able to hear you better without the mask if you want to, but it's up to
Oh,
you.
sure. You just get in the habit, you know.
Right? Those masks are addictive.
So my story today is one of humility and atonement. So it fits right in. It's a story set in the old city of Jerusalem. So first we'll have a little geography. The old city of Jerusalem has a wall around it that's thousands of years old. Scratchy mask syndrome. Now how are we doing? Awesome. I've got my friends in the AV booth. But the story comes from the old city of Jerusalem. And many call that the center of the universe. There are 4 quarters there. The Jewish quarter, the Christian quarter, the Armenian quarter, and the Muslim quarter. And they're all connected, but they each have their own culture. In that old city, there is a boy named Avi. Avi was sitting and waiting, like I'm sitting and waiting on my steps. He was on his apartment steps, waiting and waiting and waiting. He turned around and he saw on his doorway the mezuzah sparkling in the sun. It holds Holy Scripture behind it, and it's at the passageway of every Jewish home. It sparkled and sparkled, but that's not what he was looking for, the sparkle of the mezuzah. No. He was waiting, and then he saw it. Where did it go? Sarah, did you see it? Oh, the fattest, happiest, most beautiful white, long-haired cat with eyes as clear as blue crystals, kind of like marbles, I think. And he watched and he watched and he thought he saw her move in her beauty, and she came right to him. And every day she came to his house. And this little cat's fur was as white as the inside of a mussel, just beautiful and white. He carefully took out leftovers in a little bowl. He put it down for the cat. I have some warm milk for you, he says. Shalom, shalom, little cat. The cat purred as she ate. And then she rubbed up against his legs, you know, like kitties do. And open comes the window of the kitchen. Avi, my darling, why do you feed the cat? We'll never get rid of her now, said his mother, laughing, pretty much laughing, because it was just a visiting cat. Well, Avi loved this fluffy white cat. There is no other cat like it in Jerusalem. This cat is a miracle, a gift from Hashem, the Holy One. The cat gazed at Avi with its beautiful blue eyes, clear and blue. Meow, the cat said. Meow, meow, the cat said. And then she ate, she drank, and she ran quickly away down the alleyways into the chilled street. Avi was watching. He wondered where she always went every day. Suddenly he got an idea. Cat! Cat! Avi called. The next time I will follow you. And off she went, ducking and curving all around the winding streets of the Jewish quarter. She ducked and she shaded and cobbled hall alleyways, and she pranced through the sunlit courtyards of fragrant with sweet rosemary. You could just smell the rosemary. And the cat darted in and out. And pretty soon, she was lost in the hustle and bustle of the Muslim quarter. There, the narrow streets were filled with brass pots and colorful plates and beautiful tapestries, the color of fire. But the white cat had a mission. She knew where she was going, definitely. Hamoudi waited outside his family's small restaurant as the cat headed toward him. Ah, there you are, little one. Yes, Ezekiel, how are you? Hamoudi asked gently. He put down a plate of leftover lamb and a bowl of water. The cat purred as she ate and drank and just rubbed up against his legs. Hamoudi, my darling, you are feeding that cat again? His mother teased out the open doorway of the restaurant. That cat will never leave us now. That sounds familiar. But Hamoudi loved the silky white cat. There is no other cat like you in all of Jerusalem, he whispered. I know you must be a miracle, a gift from Allah. Meow, said the cat. Meow, meow, said the cat. Then she padded off through the very, very crowded streets. Hamoudi watched that cat, wondering, where's she going next? She always leaves that way. Suddenly had an idea. Cat! Cat! Next time I will follow you. But next time didn't come. They both waited. In the Jewish quarter, Avi waited for days and days. The cat was nowhere to be seen. There were other cats, skinny, mangy, hopeless eyes. They were nothing like the beautiful white cat. They darted in and out of the alleyways and climbed on garbage bags, but not one of them was the beautiful white cat. And Avi started to get really worried. He was really missing his cat and worried about her. So in the Muslim quarter, Hamoudi waited also. Each day he prepared the cat the favorite leftovers of lamb that she loved, but there was no sign of her. There were many other cats in the Muslim quarter, big ones, small ones, all had bony ribs and patchy fur. Not a one of them was the beautiful white cat. And Hamoudi worried. He worried about where the cat was and was she safe. It was many weeks later when the cat appeared on Avi's doorstep. What happened to you, cat? Avi cried. You look so skinny, and you're dirty too. He ran into the kitchen. He rushed inside, put fish in a bowl and a little bit of water, and put them at the cat's feet. She drank and ate heartily and purred. Very nice purring, Sarah. But this time, when the cat started on her way, Avi followed her. He chased her through the shaded alleys, the curved archways of the Jewish quarter, and followed her all the way to the Muslim quarter. There, he watched the cat pad right up to a small restaurant. As Avi watched in amazement, she jumped into the lap of a boy who fed her something from his hand. Imagine that! That darn cat! The boys didn't know each other. They had no idea. Avi was a few feet away, and he frowned and he yelled, "That's my cat!" He shouted. "Is not," Hamoudi yelled back. "She's my cat." The cat jumped out of Hamoudi's lap and began running down the street. "Now you see what you've done," Hamoudi said. "Now you see what you've done," Avi said. So the boys are arguing. But just then, something very interesting happened in Jerusalem. It began to snow. That doesn't happen very often. The snowflakes floated down gently through the air, swirling and twirling on their way, and the cat stopped in the middle of the street for a minute, looked out at the crisp, cold air, sniffed, and tilted her head. "You know, my cat is getting all wet," Hamoudi said. "You mean my cat is getting all wet," said Hamid. "She could freeze to death in this weather," Avi said. Hamoudi remembered how thin and scraggly the cat seemed when she was on his lap. "We'd better help her," he said. "We'd better help her right now." So they knew something was up. The boys ran together, but the cat darted in and around and disappeared in the streets of the Christian quarter. They tried to follow her paw prints, but the spinning snow easily erased them as she ran. Side by side, the two boys continued through the streets of the Armenian quarter, catching glimpses of white fur around a corner, a tail whipping into an alley. And the snow continued to fall. "What if she's in a big hole somewhere, half frozen?" said Hamoudi. "Then we will warm her with our coats," Avi replied. But fear, like a dark cloud, began to run through those cold streets that day. "Shatul! Cat! Cat! Shatul! Shatul!" Avi cried as a tear ran down his face. "Ota! Ota!" Hamoudi cried in Arabic. "Ota! Ota!" as a tear ran down his face. No sign of the cat anywhere. As they searched street by street, they finally heard just a faint sound. What was it? What was that sound, Sarah? Was it purring? Oh, do you hear that? They both looked at each other, and then they stepped into a dark alley. Hearing the sound again, Avi and Hamoudi began to run, slipping and sliding on the snow-covered street. The cries were coming from somewhere in bags and boxes that were buried in an alley. And then they heard the purr. And then there were little mews. The boys pushed them aside and came to one small box. Curled inside was the white cat. She was not half frozen, and she was not alone. "Ah, it's a miracle," Hamoudi said, kneeling down to peer in the box. "It's a miracle," Avi agreed with a smile. "She has kittens, 4 of them." Avi laughed. "No wonder the mama got so skinny." Hamoudi nodded as he rubbed the fuzzy little belly of one of the kittens that looks like a teddy bear. "Oh, so sweet. What will we do with all of these cats?" Avi asked. "It's too dangerous for them to live here on the street. They could freeze or be killed by dogs or bad people." Hamoudi thought about all the stray cats in Jerusalem with the bony ribs and the blank staring eyes and the patchy fur. "We cannot let them live on the street," he said. "We must take them home," said Avi. "Yes," Hamoudi said. "There's plenty of room at my house for 5 cats. How do you think that went over? Not too well. Oh, no, said Avi quickly. I saw the mother first, so I get to take them home. Hamudi scowled. Silence cracked in the air between them. They were really mad at each other. Then Hamudi said sharply, "How do you know that you saw the mother cat first? You can't prove it." "Neither can you," said Avi. So true. Leaving her kittens in the box, the mama cat padded over to the spot between the two boys. There, she began to purr loudly and rub against the legs of the boys. Her tracks made a figure 8 around them in the snow. Avi bit his lip and looked away. "She does not want us to fight," he said slowly. Hamudi stared down at his feet. "She wants peace." "Then we shall share the cat," said Avi. Hamudi smiled. So the boys rummaged through the bags and cartons and found 2 boxes that were the right size. They put 2 kittens in each box. 2 kittens. And 2 kittens. They each grabbed a box, and then it came to them. Who will get the mother cat? I think she wants us to share her too. Yes, Hamudi agreed. She can travel back and forth between us the same way she always has. Then the 2 boys headed back to their homes in the old city of Jerusalem, the place that some people call the center of the universe. With great care, each boy carried 2 kittens in a small box, and they were proudly followed by the fluffy white cat that they happily named Snow. So humility, the 2 boys not liking each other, rolled into peace and a lifelong friendship. And they have sought atonement for the angry words they said, as is right for this time and this place in the center of the universe. Shall we sing our song?
Love is the doctrine of the church, the best for truth is the sacrament, and service is as well. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve Him in kind and fellowship, now to be covenant with each other, now to be promised to each other.
You might remember me. I'm Beth Klein, and I just told you a story. And now it's my turn to share the joys, sorrows, and concerns with you from the Emerson community. I also serve as well as serving as the Director of Family Ministry here at Emerson, I serve as a member of the Pastoral Care Team. The Pastoral Care Team members are available with listening ears and caring hearts for you to support you during challenging times. You can contact us at our email address, pastoralcare@emersonuu.org. Each Sunday, we light our vigil bowl. Its light represents the light of hope for the peaceful resolution of all conflicts on our planet, and it honors all the dedicated people who serve us, including those on the front line of COVID-19 virus battles. We also light a special candle of acknowledgement for the Cherokee and Muskogee Nations people who lived on this land before us. May this candle remind us of our interconnection, and may our actions help heal all nations of people. At this time in our service, we pause to share personal joys, sorrows, and concerns of our Emerson community. If you would like to share a joy, sorrow, or concern at this time, please take time to type into the Zoom chat, and I'll read those in a second. As I read the joys, sorrows, and concerns that are being shared, Reverend Deborah will light candles for each joy and sorrow. I have a joy today from Matt and Michelle Feltman. This is absolutely a joy. Their daughter Zoe has spent her first time away from home. She has been in a respite care residence this weekend and has been thrilled. How wonderful that she's happy. Thanks for sharing. Let's see what's on the joys and sorrows list here. Guess what, Reverend Deborah? I can't get it to scroll. Sorry about that. Should I make up some? Oh, I have one.
There's nothing there.
Oh, that's why. There's nothing there.
Oh, here comes one.
Oh, well, I'll share my joy. I had a really, really fun birthday weekend. My birthday was on Friday, and my neighbors just didn't know what to give me, and neither did my kids, and neither did my Emerson friends. So I got a few flowers there in front of the clear podium. It's like, ah! So that's really fun. Thank you. Here is one from Maggie Baker. So happy for declining COVID numbers in Cobb County. Absolutely, yes. And I heard that yesterday that the numbers of ill children in schools has dropped drastically, so that's great. I have I think it's a concern from Christy Ogle. May my husband, Paul Ballard, continue his return to health. Keep Paul in your thoughts and prayers. Susan Ullman has a joy that she loves our Emerson singers. Hey! We do too. We've had a lot of good feedback on the sextet. Thank you to Kathy Middleman. And Christy says, thank you, Beth. You know, at this time in our service, we know that there are joys, sorrows, and concerns that are just too tender to share out loud and type into the chat. So please, type into the chat with the name of someone you're holding in your heart today. Peg. Janine. Paula. Zoe. Emily. Jesse. Griffin. Joe. LaFonda Harris. Marianne. Edmony. Sarah. Chris. This may be another Sarah. There's another Sarah on our list. Let us now send our heartfelt caring intentions to those named and those unnamed people, and to all people everywhere, by offering the Brutus prayer of loving kindness. Please repeat these words after me. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May they be free from harm and suffering. May they be free from harm and suffering. May they be well in body, heart, and mind. Heart and mind. May they be at peace. Blessed be. Thank you.
I'm going to invite us now into our time of meditation. And I don't know about you, but I feel with the rain coming down, I'm just feeling this sense of like, should I bring some couches in? It almost feels like that morning, right? Matt's like, yeah. So feel free to just find your very favorite comfy chair and just relax down into it now. I know they're not your very favorite chair, but feel free, hymn singers, to just relax. I'm going to invite us to just take a little time to bring our focus inward. The rain is coming down on many of the areas we are in right now. And it's a time for nature to pause in a way. Many of the scurrying activity of the birds and the squirrels and the chipmunks and the bunnies and the deer, they all hunker down too. So I invite you into this time to just take a minute to hunker down inside yourself, as if you were a little deer outside and you've just found a beautiful little place underneath some branches that's perhaps just a little bit dry. Imagine yourself finding that place and the joy of that place. And you take a breath. And you sit. And as you sit, you hear the rains coming down. You feel the moisture in the air. And you begin to reflect on your life. Perhaps those things in your life that are out of balance, going one direction too much or another direction too much. You begin to think of those things in your life, perhaps some things that are weighing heavy on your own heart, just as the raindrops are weighing heavy on the leaves. And as you watch the rain that falls after it's gathered on a leaf, you feel inside your own heart those things that are ready to burst forth. Those things that have been held that might be ready to be let go of. Take your time with this space. Take some breaths.
And now a reading for humility and atonement. The words are by David White. Confession is the stripping away of protection, the telling of a truth which might once have seemed like a humiliation becomes suddenly a gateway, an entrance to solid ground, even a step toward home. To confess is to free oneself, not only by admitting an error or an omission, but also by professing a deeper diligence, a greater dedication to something beyond the threat of immediate punishment or the loneliness of being shunned. To confess is to declare oneself ready for a more courageous road on which previously defended identities might not only be shorn away, but may be seen to be irrelevant, a distraction, a working delusion that kept us busy over the years and held us unaccountable to the real question. To confess is not only to acknowledge a truth that we have held from ourselves all along, breathing quietly, alone, and in secret what we could not initially give a voice, but it is a hopeful declaration to a larger power that might make us powerless to commit the same misdeed again.
So I'm not Catholic. I am neither big C Roman Catholic, nor do I profess Jesus as my Savior, and thus am not taken into the body of believers as a little c Catholic. But I have to admit that since I was a kid, there was something that fascinated me about that big C Catholic church. In movies and from a distance in person, when I went to visit a friend's Catholic church on a Sunday morning, I would see them. There they stood, like Narnia's secret wardrobe ready to take me to a distant land, the confessional boxes. Just seeing them and knowing they were forbidden to me, a non-Catholic, made me want to go inside even more. Now, movies had shown me that interesting things happened inside those confessional boxes. People confessed to every sin imaginable, and many I had not imagined myself. And then after they confessed, this person, apparently granted some superhuman abilities, would have the power to declare them absolved of their sin, often conditional on only a few Our Fathers or Hail Marys as penance. Now, as a kid, I would imagine myself going into that box, and I'd be sitting there, palms sweaty, wondering if I'd be brave enough to speak, wondering who was on the other side of that screen. Surely they would figure out it was me, wouldn't they? And would they go back to the other priests and sit around at dinner table, spilling my preteen sins like some tabloid gossip? I imagined that is what they did. And I wondered, if I were to become Catholic, did they really have the power to absolve my wrongdoings? And most importantly, to my young mind, there was something that I always wanted to know. Now, I'm going to guess some of you did too. You know, if I could do just about anything and be forgiven with just a few Hail Marys, why not just do anything I wanted? After all, I had heard it was easier to get forgiveness than permission. This seemed to be built right in. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, life soon showed me that no other person, no matter how priestly, can absolve one from their wrongdoings. That's a journey we must choose to go on ourselves. But hey, life gets busy. And too often we put off taking time to do the work of assessing the harms we have caused to others and to ourselves. And we are often too busy and, dare I say, sometimes too scared to do the hard work of atonement. Now, I'm no more Jewish than I am Catholic, but I had Jewish friends as a kid, and I also found their rituals fascinating that they had taught me. Most inspiring was the one they taught me called Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement, an act of humility and repentance. It is said that one must ask God for forgiveness for one's sins so that God will inscribe their name into the book of life, thus granting them another year to live. As a kid, I thought this was such an interesting idea to be guaranteed a year. I was told that the Jewish people observed Yom Kippur as a time for reflecting on past actions and making amends with others, and I liked that idea. I liked the idea to have this one set day to remember. kind of like a prescribed time-out day, right, Bruce? We all need a time-out day. It's kind of like a go to your room and think about what you've done day. Right? I figured I needed at least one of those a year. And while I did not grow up with either of these religions, their rituals did fascinate me as a kid. So it's no wonder that in high school I applied for a new group that was forming called Rapport. Now, the Rapport group consisted of about 8 of us students and several teachers who led us, and over the course of 2 years, we were trained in the art of peer listening. And then in my senior year, as part of Rapport, we created what was called the Rap Room. Now, the Rap Room was nothing more than a freestanding large closet-type structure, not quite as grand as Narnia's, and we built it on the ledge of one of the landing of one of the stairwells. And it was a place where other students could come to meet with us and simply to talk and be listened to. Now, it wasn't a confessional per se, and us listeners weren't given any special powers to grant absolution, although we did have the power to sign your pass to get out of study hall, so that was pretty good. And of course, we could not hand out penance. But over and over, I did watch how just the act of being listened to seemed to help others immensely. Now, while neither the Jewish or Christian atonement rituals felt particularly accessible to me personally, over time I continued to watch them from afar and wonder how I would make something my own in this realm. And then years ago, I came across a ritual practiced in many Polynesian cultures that embraced the idea of reconciliation in a way that I found very accessible, and maybe you will too. You see, in many Polynesian cultures, it is believed that a person's errors cause illness. So some believe those errors anger the gods or that they wake up and attract malevolent gods. But many people simply believe that the guilt caused by our errors makes us sick. Now, by my late teens, I had already experienced this phenomenon myself, that sick feeling of being out of alignment with my own true nature. Now, at the time, I may not have described it in that way, but that's what it was. I did not believe that penance was something that a priest could ascribe to me, but I was experiencing it in my own body in real time. Do you know that feeling? When something you do or something you say, it just doesn't feel right with the world. It just doesn't feel right with who you really are. And yet you watch yourself say it or do it and hold those feelings. Many people in the early Polynesian societies held the belief that illness was caused by breaking spiritual laws, and that illness could not be cured until the sufferer atoned for the transgression and what they called got right with themselves, with God, and with others. They used the assistance of a priest that they called kahunas and helped them seek forgiveness from the gods or from the person with whom they harmed. Traditionally, it was described as a practice called oponopono, which translated to mean making right. And the practice was done within families, and in fact, many families had a practice of meeting daily or weekly, doing this oponopono ritual to prevent them from having problems erupt. So what a concept, huh? It's like preemptive atonement. So here's a description of the oponopono process. It begins with a prayer. So the family would sit, have a prayer, and they would state the problem. They would say, here's what's going on. And they would discuss it. And family members were expected to just work through the problems, to not hold on to their own opinion. And they would take times of silence in between people speaking, and they would reflect on what's called the entanglement of emotions and injuries. And I love that phrase, the entanglement, because that's what it feels like sometimes, right? It's like not so simple, I said this and you felt that. It's more like this entanglement of emotions and injuries. And everyone's feelings in the group are acknowledged, and then confession, repentance, and forgiveness take place. Everyone releases each other, letting go. They cut off the past, and then they gather and close with a ceremonial feast. See, I got your attention now, didn't I, Emersonians? They closed with a ceremonial feast. But you have to do the other stuff first. What a beautiful ritual, though, right? Now, over time, the tradition was adapted to address societal issues as well. And in the late 1900s, courts in Hawaii actually began to order juvenile and adult offenders to work with an elder who would conduct ho'oponopono rituals with their families as a form of alternative dispute resolution. And in recent years, several teachers of this traditional practice have simplified it by translating it into these 4 short phrases. They are this: thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. So while it may be simplified from the original concept, I think it still sounds very powerful. Thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. And it sounds like something we can all practice. In our Unitarian Universalist faith, we don't have high holy days set aside for the practice of atonement. And our sanctuaries are not lined with confessional booths to receive your confessions. Nor do I have the priestly ability to absolve you. But we do have something in Unitarian Universalism that we've always had, and that is we have each other. One of my teachers, Swami Kripalu, used to always say, don't think that saints are the only ones that can give blessings. Anyone who loves you can give you a blessing. Blessings that come from the heart are the same as coming from God. And in our reading this morning, David White reminds us that to confess is not only to acknowledge a truth we have held from ourselves all along, breathing quietly, alone and in secret, what we could not initially give voice to. But to confess is a hopeful dedication to a larger power that might help us, that might make us powerless to commit the self-same sin again. Right? So it's a dedication to some force that is larger than us. Call it love, call it God. Names are irrelevant. It's that power larger than us that will help us be powerless so that we cannot commit the self-same sin again. And so too, I think we can receive each other's confessions. We can bear witness for each other with open hearts and open ears. And here's where humility arrives. To sincerely be able to say, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. It requires humility. To be humble means to lower one's self. To atone, to make right, to ask for forgiveness requires lowering oneself from that high balcony that the ego loves to sit on, right? The ego that would rather be right, the ego that would rather be righteous, or the ego that is just plain stubborn. In the ashram where I lived for 4 years, the other disciples and I would often bow when we approached the guru, even kneeling down at times and kissing his feet. Now, this greatly disturbed many of the guests who came to take programs or participated in retreats there. It might even disturb you, the thought of it. And we as disciples were asked over and over again in dismay, why would you bow to another person? How could you kiss someone's feet? And the reply my ashram brothers and sisters and I would offer each time was simple. We are not bowing to the guru as a person, nor are we bowing for his benefit. In fact, we are not bowing to him. We bow as a spiritual practice, of lowering our heads below our hearts. He is just the human witness for us in that act. And we do not kiss his feet. We kiss the feet of that which is most holy in recognition that we are but small servants to the grandness of creation. They say the distance from the heart to the head is the greatest distance on earth. And when we bow, we elevate the heart, and we get the two just a little bit closer. To whom or what do you bow? To whom do you need to say these words? Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Do you owe yourself a moment of atonement for harms you have committed against your very being? Does a particular person come to mind, perhaps even a group of people? Atonement, this getting right with, returning to our true self, is not only a powerful human-to-human practice, but I think it can be practiced in society as a whole. How do we atone for the sins of our generation right now? How do we make the world right? And where do we begin to atone for the sins to the very earth whose body we inhabit? I wonder, when was the last time you went out into nature, looked at a bird or a tree, and said, thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. The earth is calling for our atonement. Can we lower our mind's grip on the ego needs of the body just long enough to allow our hearts to lead the way of reconciliation? I pray that we do. Our very survival requires that we do. Perhaps the best words for us to close on this morning come from the 20th century theologian and Catholic priest, Henry Nouwen, as he asked these questions. At the end of the day, he says he asks himself this: did I offer peace today? Did I bring a smile to someone's face? Did I say words of healing? Did I let go of my anger and resentment? Did I forgive? Did I love? These are the real questions. I must trust that the little bit of love that I sow now will bear many fruits here in this world and in the life to come. My friends, may nature be your confessional boxes, and may each new day be your day of atonement. May you make right with yourself, with your God by whatever name, and with each other, and return again and again to who you really are in heart and spirit. Blessed be. I'm going to invite you now into a time of ritual and renewal and reflection. If you have some paper nearby you, I'm going to invite you to get that now. And if you don't have paper, I'm going to invite you to visualize writing. In a moment, our hymn ensemble is going to sing a gorgeous rendition of Return Again, married with Hashi Venu, returning us back to who we are. And I invite you to, either on your paper or in your mind's eye, visualizing yourself writing, write these words: thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And as the music plays, make a list of those to whom you would like to say these words to. Perhaps beginning with yourself, individuals, groups of people,
or our dear Mother Earth, returning again and again to who you are with love and gentleness.
Day.
don't know about you, but I need a moment to compose myself. We hope that you have been nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. Please stay for fellowship time in breakout rooms at the conclusion of our service. Second hour activities will begin in just a few minutes at 11:10. And today we have both the Buddhist sitting group and service reflections. If you're new and curious about either of these, feel free to ask folks in your breakout room. I'm sure they'll be happy to tell you about them. Links are in the chat and on our website, emersonuu.org. That's EMERSONUU.org. If you haven't done so yet, please take a moment to find and click on the link to give to Emerson and Open Bible Tabernacle Haitian Assembly as we support those devastated by natural disasters in southern Haiti. We thank you for your generosity and for your commitment to living out our Unitarian Universalist principles. Do you have any closing words, Reverend Deborah?
Just that I think we are shifting things a little bit today, and you can actually get to second hour activities right in the same room you're in. So Maggie, give me a thumbs up, that's right? Yeah, so just stay right where you are. You can go off into fellowship time, and then there'll be choices, and you just click where you would like to go. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing the service with us, James.
And thank you, as always, Reverend Deborah, for your loving dedication to our community. Please join me in the congregational response as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Go now in peace and take peace wherever you go.